So my name's Audrey. I'm just going to be guiding the conversation. I'll introduce you to these guys who are the reason why we're here. I'm just going to ask them some questions, let them tell their story about kind of how they got started and everything, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A at the end so you guys can kind of get your own questions in and find out a little bit more. So first, I guess I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, starting with Hakeem.
My name is Hakeem Animasham. I'm the CEO, co-founder of CLQSIX.
How's it going? My name's Ahmed Animasham. I'm a COO and co-founder of CLQSIX.
I'm Wasu Animasham. As you guys probably guessed, we're all brothers. I'm the head of marketing of CLQSIX.
So CLQSIX, you can kind of maybe sort of tell from the name, but from the three of you, what is CLQSIX? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so CLQSIX is a social media app specifically designed for cliques, for squads, for groups. So if you take a look at social media now, you have Instagram, which is based on the individual. You have your best photos on Instagram. Twitter, you have your dots on Twitter. Facebook, it's your individual identity, right? But where does your squad, where does your clique, where does your crew exist in social media currently? It doesn't. So essentially that's what CLQSIX is.
So one of you can answer, describe your product, like as an app. You know, there's tons of apps out there. What is kind of like the basics to what the product is?
So it's again, piggybacking off of what my brother just said, short and form to that, it's a platform where your squad can show off your group identity, right? So you think about your life, it looks like we have a couple athletes in here, a couple future coders and stuff like that. When you guys go out, you guys are not going out to clubs, but when you go out, I guess, when you guys do trick or treat, I don't know what you guys do. as a crew, you're taking these group pictures and you're hashtagging squad goals. You want a place where you can show off, you know, your group identity. So that's where the idea started actually. Back in Brazil, we went to the World Cup in 2014 and we were having these crazy dope experiences with these Brazilian people that I can't even talk about in this room, but we wanted a place where we could show that off. And then we just started brainstorming, like, wow, it would be amazing if we created this platform where you can actually show off your group identity. So that's kind of in a nutshell what our product is.
So we talked about, I mean, it's different from other social medias in the sense where you have the individual and then you have the group, but are there certain like user experiences that also make it different?
Yeah, so the way it works is you pretty much create a clique with your friends, your family, your brothers, your sisters, your auntie, cousin, nephew, whoever matters most to you. You go ahead and create a clique, and from that point, everybody in the clique populates a page with content full of photos. Down the line, we're gonna enable you guys to upload videos and other forms of media, but currently you can just upload photos, and from that point, you're building a collection. You're building your group identity, right? So anybody in the world could follow your page.
What if my best friend has a picture and she's just like, she posts it, but like I don't like it?
That's a great question.
We have to like be on the same page and stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. And when that happens, we had this conversation before, right? There's always that one person in the group that kind of gets on your nerves. And
So who you choose is important.
Who you choose is definitely important.
You kick her out of your clique.
Right? Get out of here.
So why did you guys decide to get into technology at first? Obviously, I mean, I think the idea was born off of some real experiences. It's definitely got its uniqueness about social media. It's very, very individualized otherwise. But why technology? Could you not have done like, different types of activations to pull people together? What made it become an app specifically, or why technology?
Yeah, so why technology? Well, just our upbringing, we've always been very ambitious people. And right now, technology is the disruptor. That is the way to change the world. Mm-hmm. So with us and our biggest ambitions of changing the world, the vehicle is technology. So that's why we decided to go that path.
Do you guys all know what he means by disruptive? Is that confusing or weird?
Yes.
You do know or you don't? You want to
No,
explain?
break it down a little bit.
Elaborate.
Sure, yeah, so,
Sorry.
no, I think that that's a great point, and I think that technology is very disruptive in the sense that back in the day, we used to consume things, you would read a newspaper to get your news, you would, have to read these long form articles and stuff. Most of the time I get my news on Twitter. Twitter and social media is very disruptive in the fact that it makes people have to change their business models, it makes people have to change the way that they deliver content or deliver information, and it being disruptive is a good thing. It allows for new businesses to come about, like yourselves, and
New connections, new relationships, new experiences to be had. I mean, if you look at Instagram, it's a great platform. I first got on it in 2012. I was one of those guys who was hesitant at first, right? I had a BlackBerry in about 2010.
You guys know what a BlackBerry is?
Right? It actually had a physical keyboard that you pressed. And I was adamant about not switching from that. I wanted to press those keys, But at a certain point, I recognized the fact that Steve Jobs and his team built an amazing product, which is iPhone, right? So when he passed, I paid homage to him by getting the iPhone 4S, right? The 4 Steve phone, right? So, and once I got it, downloaded Instagram, and uploaded my first photo, I was like, man, this is revolutionary. This is gonna change the world. So essentially, when we went out to Brazil for the World Cup, we were sharing all these moments together, posting it on our individual platforms, on our individual Instagram accounts. And we thought, wait a second, we're essentially posting the same photos. Why can't we just post this all together on one page? Right? So then that idea stemmed, and we created a platform for clicks to have fun.
so technology, definitely, I think a big disruptor. I definitely think that.
And look back, just to give a couple of words, why I was so excited to come down and talk to you guys on a Saturday when I usually don't do these type of things on Saturday. Being a youth in tech, if you think about Facebook, when Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, he had probably no idea that just a short time later it was going to be used to take down dictators in the Arab Spring and stuff like that. So we look at these things, and I made a joke about Snap and Instagram and stuff like that, but literally this right here is a gateway to the world, and what you create and put on it can really change the world, and that's kind of why we went into tech. Is we're looking for ways to really impact the human experience, and what better way than technology right now.
So, I don't know how old all of you are in this room, but I want to ask each of you, we can start with you, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Be mindful of the information that you receive. My brother, we were having a conversation last night actually on the importance of mentorship and how crucial that is to have the right person in your ear, right? Because we all got all these distractions in the world, right? Whether it be from social media, whether it be from our friends, family, what have you. But having that right person in your ear can change the world, essentially. You want to add on that?
Yeah, I would say what I would tell my 16-year-old self is to just follow your passion, whatever that is. Deep dive, go 110% into it. And with technology right now, it's so amazing on the amount of information that you can get for whatever passion that is, whether it's to be a basketball player. You can literally go on YouTube and see the steps, coder, whatever, follow your passion.
Yeah, I would say the two things that I would tell my 16-year-old self is number one, find a great mentor. Number two, find your passion. There are going to be people along your life that are going to tell you, you look different, you sound different, you can't do this, you can't do that. Completely block out those people and find somebody that's willing to spend time and energy in passing along some knowledge, right? That's definitely, I think, as I moved into my later teens, when I started to develop mentors, and when I really discovered what I found my true passions, that's when things started to take off for me. So those are two things I definitely would tell my 16-year-old self.
Yeah, just to add on that, life has no limits. The only limits it has are those which you put on itself.
That was deep, right?
It was deep, but it was
Write that
it's extremely truthful. Like, there are no limits to what you can do in this life. So whatever, as big as that dream is, it's possible.
Cool. So I guess that segues into let's learn a little bit about you guys. You know, we know about the app and the groups and stuff. But where are you guys from?
Born on.
I think mine's is better than that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
We can cast the
Look at
vote.
those shoes, man. What are those? Look at those shoes. But no, we're local kids. I actually grew up not too far from here, kind of the Martin Luther King 36th Street area. We were supposed to go to Manuarts. Anybody go to Manuarts in here? Yeah. Okay, good. That's what's up. We didn't do that. We went to. No, we didn't do that. We went to Fairfax High School, schools on the west side and stuff like that. Went to all three of us are graduates from Cal State Northridge in the Valley. So yeah, we're local people. Really, I'm a huge Los Angeles fan just because I think. Especially, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to like what's going on in like the political space with all like this hate out there. I feel like LA is a place that, you know, now, in the 90s obviously we didn't have it right, but I think now with race relationship, with the energy in the city, I think we really have it right. And so I'm a big fan of this, my city and the people in my city.
And specifically in tech, you know, MySpace first got started in LA back in, 07. You guys were in diapers. But there's a huge tech scene in LA, and we're a part of that.
Yeah, it's building. Like Silicon Valley's coming down here because that's where the talent is, and they're trying to get closer to entertainment. So you guys are in the perfect city to be doing what you want to do. You're here.
So bouncing back to the app, what's the story behind the name? How did you come up with the idea? I mean, you explain how you came up with the idea. What's the story behind the name? Why 6? Why not like click 5?
Yeah, so I went to Cal State Northridge, as my brother mentioned, and I studied business marketing. And I specifically remember one class that spoke on the importance of branding. I mean, and you don't necessarily have to, like the class just heightened that understanding that I already had. If you look at a company like Nike, we all buy Nike, not because their shoes are the best. I think Kanye West would, you know, agree with me on that. Like he's Team Adidas now. He just signed a crazy contract with them. But we buy Nike because of the brand and the story that they tell, and how you feel when you have Nikes on. We all played football in high school, and we had like an inside joke that said, you know, you could tell who the best like football players were by what shoes they had on. They had on Adidas or like Under Armour.
At the time, Under Armour was not popular.
Yeah, like they weren't good, you know, you had to have the Nikes on. The best players, best athletes had the Nikes on. So when we were coming up with a name for our app, initially it was just Click.
Yeah.
And we felt like that was just way too boring. There was no emotion in there. There was no like anything. You didn't feel anything when you heard that. So we started thinking, we started brainstorming, and CLQSIX is what we came up with. And the 6 is essentially for the fact that you can be a part of up to 6 different cliques on the app. Because, you know, we all have different friends for different reasons. Like we're in a clique, but when I'm not with these guys, I'm hanging out with, you know, my other friends. So I have another clique with them. And
Well, that's good. You don't have to just like pick and choose. Like, okay, I guess this is who my group is.
yeah, you know, because that's not how, you know, we interact in the real world.
Very cool. So, how's it working together as brothers? You guys like get fights, you get frustrated with each other. I mean, obviously you have the individual roles, which I don't know if you want to speak on how that works with working together too? Like if he has marketing ideas and you're like, no, bro, I'm just gonna
Yeah, being that we're all brothers, I mean, it's always, it's clashing. That's just what it is. But out of that clashing comes crazy dope ideas, right? So, he's in charge of marketing, but I mean, that doesn't mean I can't speak up my mind and say, this might be a good idea, and pitch it to the collective, and, we dish it out, and whatever is best for the company, that's what we go with, so it's that back and forth that we're trying to improve the brand, so.
Yeah, it's like being on a team with 3 Kobe's. Everyone wants to take the shot. Everyone wants to be the guy, and each of us, thinks that we are that guy. But ultimately, that type of energy, going back and forth and arguing, because we argue, and since we're brothers, sometimes it might be a fist fight.
And he loses.
Okay, little guy. Okay. No, but that back and forth energy ultimately produces something fantastic, something great. And as long as it's always coming from a place of love and the product, then we're good.
I mean, I'm sure working together isn't a barrier, but what are some of the barriers that you guys had to go through to kind of get started with this, and not just get started, but continue, most importantly, keep pushing forward?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like one barrier in the beginning was telling ourselves that we can do it. The tech industry, we all know it's full of
The monolithic industry.
Exactly.
Everyone looks the same essentially in the tech industry.
Yeah, there's very few people, who look like us. So one of the barriers was overcoming that initial, getting our mentality right, was one of the main barriers. And I feel like a couple ways that we did that was, we met every day, we talked about it every day, and we believed. And we actually thought that we can do it. And look how far, we've got it. You want to add to that in terms of, adding?
Yeah, so I think, I would agree with my brother. The biggest barrier was essentially coming into an industry where there weren't many people, successful people that looked like us, and they weren't necessarily, we thought they weren't going to be open to our story, right? We said, wow, there's going to be this group of people that don't look like us, that I don't necessarily know if they're going to be open to our stories. But once we got over that hurdle mentally, we found out that, actually the tech industry, despite what a lot of people like to say, is very open to stories from different places, from different people with diverse backgrounds. So once, it kind of goes back to what I was saying, there are going to be a lot of people that say, you look like this, you talk like this, you walk like that, you didn't go to Stanford, you don't have a certain background, and you just have to say, I'm going to curse here, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And once you do it, you'll see that, sometimes there's a lot of people with open arms. I'm sorry, I don't want to get, don't have your parents come after me. Sorry, I apologize for that.
Yeah,
so that was a big thing.
Yeah. And growing up to Nigerian parents, they wrote us incredibly tough. Our upbringing, it was A's or nothing, right? So that level of standard coming from, both our parents, essentially, instilled in us confidence, which is
just hard work, so whatever the task was, we can grind through it.
Yeah, just speaking on diversity, I feel like what's more important is, because the conversation is always had, you walk in a room and you can't change the way you look, but not even kind of just completely blocking that from your mind and just seeing yourself as equal. You're in a room for a reason. You got in the room for a reason. So just having that in your mind, like I'm I'm not one of them, but I'm doing this for real. Like this is what I want to do. I'm passionate about this. I've studied, I've done the work, I've you know, I'm doing this.
So what does the word entrepreneurship mean to you?
Entrepreneurship. Yeah, right now, I believe there's a lot of people that are walking around calling themselves entrepreneurs. Starting a business, whether it be a t-shirt company, or whether it be a real estate company, or some type of product, that makes you a business owner, right? An entrepreneur is somebody that is, in essence, a disruptor. Somebody that is literally changing something for the better. You know, and Elon Musk would be a great example. Or the founders of Uber. I mean, completely shattering these normal industries that have been established on it. That's fine. That, like, you can have a great life doing that, but you know, entrepreneurship, that's something different. That's something special. That's something that, you know, it comes from within, you know.
I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that was a great definition. Great answer.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, being an entrepreneur is there's going to be three things that happen in the process of entrepreneurship. One is you're kind of going to be alone by yourself most of the time. Two, you're going to have to develop really thick and tough skin. And three, you're going to have to ultimately be able to tell a really good story. One, being an entrepreneur means that you're essentially doing something that 7-8 billion people have never done before. Or just to scale it down a little bit, you're doing something that doesn't exist in the world. You want to create something that doesn't exist, right? And just to have that mentality, you know, the normal people would call that crazy. To give up essentially a solid position at any company, right? Salary, benefits, everything is cool. To give that up and say you want to create something for yourself, you gotta kind of be like a little cuckoo, you know? It's like, that's not normal. And two, you have to overcome the fact that, hey, yeah, I'm kind of crazy. You gotta own it, right? And you gotta go out and tell people about it. And they might look at you a little, you know, funny, but you gotta have that confidence to look somebody in the eye and, you know, like pretty much say, hey, this is my dream, this is what I really want to do with the time I have on earth. Because, you know, Muhammad Ali just died. Prince, we lost Prince. I know you guys are kind of young, but Prince had an amazing impact on my life. Purple Rain, I sung that to my first girlfriend in high school. Like, every time that song comes on, I think about that. So it's just like, in this time that we have on earth, and I don't want to get too, like, you know, but time, man. You guys are young. We're all young on this, on these, sitting on these chairs right now. And, you know, we just gotta use this energy and, you know, use all these crazy ideas, and we gotta actually make them happen, you know?